everybody. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Rachel.
And this is why I'm watching Dawson's Creek, Season 1, Episode 6, Baby. Where do you want to start? Do you want to get the Pacey out of the way?
I guess.
Okay. So, Pacey and Dawson were talking about Tamara in the bathroom, and some stoner overheard and started a rumor in what seems like 4 seconds.
It's not that he started a rumor, he just told people.
Well, sure. But it everyone is just thinking it's a rumor because this seems like there's no possible chance. But again, it did spread in what appears to be 4 seconds because the way that we cut is like Dawson leaves the bathroom, immediately runs into Jen, and she's like, "Have you heard the rumor?"
Mm-hmm. Oh, something like that would spread like wildfire.
Sure. It's still funny. I think it's funny.
Yeah, that's what happens when you teacher. Everything is Twitter before Twitter. Everything blows up.
That's true.
My God.
Basically, it gets around the whole school. Tamara has to have a meeting with the principal, and then it looks like a courtroom situation.
Yeah, it was the school board.
Yeah, but it looked like court, like a trial.
I mean,
it was like in a courtroom.
She should have been on trial.
Okay. Let's approach this as the narrative fiction that it is.
No.
Regardless, they're like, what's this? Well, first Pacey tries to speak to her, but her lawyer is like, no.
Yeah. She should be.
All discussion will go through me. And he keeps
we need an adult somewhere in this relationship.
He also keeps calling her Tammy, which is horrible.
It's better than Tamara.
I disagree.
I mean, it's better than Tamara. Because when they were saying goodbye and he said tomorrow, it sounded so much like Tamara. And I was like, that's why we can't say it that way.
So basically he sort of like breaks into the room, not breaks in, but he like inserts himself before he's meant to be like called as a witness. And he's like, hey, I made up this rumor because I have a crush on her. And like, I know it would never happen. I'm too young, like all this stuff. Like, it's cool. Like, she didn't do anything wrong. It's all me. I did the whole thing. And she just gets off scot-free.
I'm furious.
Miss Grundy gets off too.
But then she fucks off. She leaves. Goodbye.
Well, she leaves too.
I don't remember enough to be mad about that right now. I was probably mad about it in the moment in Riverdale.
Miss Grundy?
Yes.
I think that, okay, so there's many things going on. The first of which is there's so many more instances of this storyline when it's a female teacher and a male student, which is gross because it implies that boys can't be victimized by female predators, which is simply not true. The second of which is that in both this instance and Riverdale, the male underage students are the sexual aggressors, which is also gross because it again implies that they can't be victimized. Both of these boys have been victimized, whether they know it or not.
Yes.
It's terrible. The one story that I maintain starts out from a place of like dicey but fine is Pretty Little Liars. Because
and I didn't see that, so.
Ezra and Arya hook up like the last day of summer in a bar. She's underage, but he is also, the age gap is much smaller. This is 21 year age gap. Their age gap could drink alcohol.
Yep.
So they hook up in a bar bathroom the night before, the first day of school. And then as soon as he realizes he's her teacher, he tries to back off. But then then the show goes off the rails and it's like their end game or whatever. And it's gross. But it starts off from an okay place. This starts off immediately. She's almost 40.
Yes.
She's almost 40.
36.
Yeah. So, because for me, the Arya and Ezra of it all is like, he's like fresh out of college. So it's like, I graduated college when I was 21. So like 21 and 16 is still gross, but it's not 15 and 36.
Yes. Yeah.
It's still gross and illegal, but like, regardless. So they do have actually like a really stupidly tender goodbye scene, which you really
they didn't. No one deserves this.
Yeah.
No, we don't deserve it. They don't deserve it. She should have just packed her shit and fucking left.
I mean, she is leaving tomorrow.
I know, but we didn't. They don't deserve that.
Yeah.
They don't deserve a sweet ending. This is a predatory situation.
Yeah. Which is
gross.
Which is why the Miss Grundy thing is interesting, because once she's finally leaving, she puts on those Lolita glasses and makes eyes at the other teenage boys, and you're like, oh shit. Like, this is all like she is gonna go somewhere else and do this again. Whereas the implication here is that Tamara is, like, Pacey was special to her.
I don't believe that for a fucking second.
Well, I mean, that's the implication. It's the implication.
No. But the thing is she's not gonna say no. She would never say no because of the implication.
They did not do a good enough job implying that this was a one-off.
For my money, they did.
No.
I think that for me, I don't think she's gonna go do this somewhere else.
I don't know. She got a taste for it now.
I don't think so. I disagree. As much as it pains me, like, I don't think it's because of Pacey's sexual prowess or anything, but I kind of think that she was in a weird spot, and she like, I feel like this was an aberration. I don't think she'd do it again.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Well, it, like, literally almost never comes out. Like I said, she's in, like, 2 season 2 episodes. I went looking once before because I wanted to make sure. Like, I didn't remember. Yeah, she's in 9 total episodes. So she's in 3 season 2 episodes. But right in a row. 3, 4, 5. Right in a row. Anyway, they say goodbye. It's whatever. It's over. Their relationship is over.
Thank God.
Yeah.
I cannot stim anymore.
Do you need Will? Where's Will's fidget spinner?
I know, it's over here.
Is it?
I am just like, I'm bouncing. So
Yeah.
I'm working it out as much as I can. I'm just so grossed out. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. I don't understand why this was a storyline.
No, it's weird.
It's
bizarre.
Well,
again, it's like we talked about. Season 1 was made completely in a vacuum.
Yes.
And again, like I said, Tamara comes back, but to my knowledge, we don't pick up again with anything. And for what I remember, and he gets an age appropriate girlfriend in season 2. It's like like we get Jack and Andy, so Kerr Smith and Meredith Monroe in season 2, and that's very helpful to, like, build out the ensemble and everything. Is because these 4 alone, it's not quite enough.
No,
going forward. Regardless, Pacey does get in some more dicey relationships, but it's not till, like, season 5. Okay. Yeah.
Well, obviously he's not going to have a good time in relationships since his home life is garbage.
He has an okay time, but his home life is like Doug basically is like he's a shit stain on the side of the road.
But I mean, the first attempt at a relationship is this that we see. That does not say, "Hey, I'm all right." So
he actually is all right.
I beg to differ.
No, but he is, like, going forward, like, he is. Like, in this moment, definitely not. There's mommy issues, there's daddy issues, there's brother issues going on.
Yeah.
In this moment, no, he's not all right. But in the long-term scheme of things, he's all right. He's good with the girlfriend in season 2. And then he's good with the girlfriend in season. I know that you know, but I'm trying to be, like, discreet about the fact that he gets with Joey. Like, I know you know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's like he is actually, look, he's better in relationships than Dawson.
Well, he's a sociopath.
So we open the episode with Dawson and Joey having regular movie night. It's cool. The first movie ends. She's like, dope, gotta go. And he's like, we never watched just one movie at movie night. Why are you leaving? And then we, like, smash pan to Jen, who has been excluded from the scene up until then.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
It's very funny. she's like, clearly I'm interrupting something. This is like a very like sacred, like traditional bond thing that you guys have. I shouldn't be here. I should leave. And then they both do this dance where Jen's like, well, don't leave on my account. And Joey's like, well, don't you leave on my account. Like, I am the interloper. I should be the one to go. And if you go, I'm going to have to leave anyway because Grams will see you because she is like a spy across the fucking yard, just like with binoculars looking all over. And so Dawson is like, let me get this straight. And he breaks it down perfectly where it's like, Jen can't leave because then it's like Joey's kicking her out, but she can't stay because if Joey leaves, then Grams will know and it'll be weird. And Joey can't stay because Jen's there, but she can't leave because then it's like Jen is kicking her out. And they're like, yeah, that's exactly it. And then they both leave and he's like just all alone.
He's like, movie night.
Yeah. And there's this weird plastic cricket on top of his TV that gets this like extreme grainy close up. It was wild. I was like, what a weird framing. Like, why is, I mean, obviously that's the wall in the set that doesn't exist, but like, why did we not frame that slightly differently?
Who knows? Is there a cricket in one of the movies?
I don't think so. It was just a big plastic green, like it almost looked like a Lego cricket, like a big Lego cricket. So yeah, that's basically the size of that. And then the big thrust of this episode is that Bessie goes into labor and Grams has to help her deliver because Bodhi is in Hyannisport interviewing for a chef job at a restaurant, a French restaurant. And so he is like, I legitimately forgot he missed the entire birth. I'm actually a little bit pissed about that. So he's doing that and Bessie's trying to drive to the clinic because she's in labor and Joey comes across her where she's like gone off the road and she's stuck in the mud. And so the only way to get somewhere with a phone is to take the little rowboat across the creek to get to Dawson's. Sure, fine. You know what? Whatever. I'll allow it. I did mention that this is one of the moments where Capeside is smaller than it like needs to be.
There's one ambulance for one hospital, which,
and it's like going to Duckberry first
because there's a
interstate pileup.
Yeah, and so they have to go there. That takes priority over a woman having a baby.
I mean, it does.
And well, but I call shenanigans because how is there not a volunteer fire and EMT? Because growing up in a small town, that was the cool thing to do. You either joined it or you didn't. I did not.
No.
But it's like, that's the thing to do.
Yeah. And I'm totally on your team. That's the issue that I have is it's kind of like a lot of these shows where it's like Sunnydale is like a super small town until there is
the warehouse district.
Well, the warehouse district, but also like enough population to sustain a UC campus.
Yeah.
Where you're like, what? Like UC Sunnydale? I don't buy it.
Yep.
But it's small enough that it's like the population is 90% cemeteries.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. So again, this is something that evens out going forward because it's small enough that there's like one ambulance and it has to also service an hour away, but it's big enough that I mentioned in season 3 there's like a huge like statewide boat race. Like no. Like
shenanigans.
Please. So yeah, they basically, and then Bessie rows herself because Joey is rowing like a girl.
Listen, that probably helped with labor.
Well, that's what I said. I was like, actually, I feel like rowing, like it's really engaging your core. I feel like it probably sped her labor.
Yep.
In a good way, a nice way. So they get there. Joey, that's when they call the ambulance and it's going to be forever. So Joey goes next door because everybody knows that Grams is a nurse. And she's like, I know that you don't like me and my family is like repulsive to you, but my sister is having a baby and I know you're a nurse. We need your help. And to her credit, Grams is like, you got it. And she goes right next door. And it's kind of horrible, the whole thing. We both don't care for pregnancy or birth or labor or anything like that.
Nope. Also, because I knew they were going to do it because men, but she was in a wicker chair. When she sat in the chair, I was like, okay, great. We are going to have a female experience of having a baby, which is, it's better for you to sit like this.
Or even be on like all fours.
Yeah. And nope, she's in this wicker chair and it's up on the side. So I was like, I mean, I guess because we gotta show it that way.
I feel like that's easier for TV. I think it's probably easier to get past the censors and stuff too.
But if she's sitting there like this and like holding the sides and she's literally going like this and sweating, we all know she's having a baby.
Of course.
She doesn't need to be up in fake stirrups. Wicker stirrups, you know that shit is digging into her legs.
So much wicker in the Leary house. Yeah. It's like wall-to-wall wicker.
That was my mother's house.
Just the wicker, it's not it for me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I like that is of a bygone era is pickled furniture?
Pickled?
That's what it's like a stain kind of. It's like grayish, but it's also kind of like multicolored.
Well, my dresser and side tables
kind of like that
are green. Yeah. That was originally like white and gray, but it has oxidized, so it looks sage green.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like that.
Oh,
yeah. If I was to do like a rusticy kind of like beachy, I would do no wicker. It would be pickled furniture,
just like weathered wood.
Yeah, I think it's nice. I think it's got, but there's like even like the pictures don't really do it justice. It's kind of like there's like kind of pinks and greens and stuff in the way it finishes.
So when my mother was attempting to do furniture, whatever, amongst all of her rheumatoid arthritis and her fibromyalgia, she was doing
There's quotes around all of that.
She was doing this to furniture.
Oh, okay, yeah. I kind of like it. It's like it's a very bygone of like 80s and early 90s.
The Gilmore house plus the Leary house equals my mother's.
Smooshed together.
Yes. Okay. So there was wicker, but then there was also like artfully destroyed or distressed furniture.
Like driftwoodish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jen and Grams are also still having a religion debate. And at one point, Jen is like, she's bleeding a lot. We need to probably do something. And Grams is a little militant about it. But at the same time, it is like, don't stress Bessie out.
Who is the one in the room that knows this?
Grams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if she's not freaking out, shut up, Jen.
Yeah.
Because then all you're going to do is stress her out. And she's going to, as much as she's like actually trying, her brain is going to be like, nope, we're going to suck that back in.
100%.
So, you know, it's the mental game at that point.
So there is more blood than Grams would like, but she is not super concerned.
When you have a baby, there is just viscera and shit everywhere.
Blood everywhere. Dawson is also recording the whole thing, which at first you didn't love, but then I was like, well, he's doing it for Bodhi.
But then he was like, I forget who walked in, maybe Jen, but he goes, ooh, yes, conflict. He is not filming it for Bodhi.
No,
He is making a movie. And he even says this much. He's making a movie.
He did say he was doing it for Bodhi, but that's not totally true. And then Grams does just like smack the camera out of his hand.
Incredible. Thank you, Grams.
Yeah. So the baby is born with generally like there's a more blood than she'd like, but it's fine. Bessie's fine, baby's fine, everybody's fine. And it's a boy. And Jen or Joey has the scene with Dawson outside where it's like Bessie's just like their mom, and when she was going through chemo, it was like a whole thing, and Joey was always there to hold her hand because she needed it. And it's like this is like an early good Dawson moment because he's like, why were you always there for your mom? And Joey's like, well, because she needed me. She never said it, but I knew she did. And he's like, well, what makes you think that Bessie needs you any less? Amazing. That's like kind of the last good Dawson thing for like a minute. Not that I remember very specifically. The next episode is basically just one big Breakfast Club ripoff. They're like all in detention for different reasons.
I feel like every teen show needs that.
Yeah, it also
does it, not needs it, but does that.
It's the introduction of Abby, who is Jen's problematic friend from season 2.
Oh, okay.
Oh, she's also she's the youngest one from While You Were Sleeping, the young girl that goes through the she gets on the L with her friend, and that's when Lucy is like, no, I'm pregnant.
I don't remember.
Oh, come on! Oh, come on! The baby sister from While You Were Sleeping. Don't you love that movie as much as I do?
I've seen it once.
What the fuck? Well, we're watching it again.
I watched it with you.
I didn't know that was the only time. That's like the best Christmas movie.
Yeah, I've only seen it the one time. That she vaguely like shakes around in my brain, but Jen and Grams had a moment when Bessie was like, I can't push anymore. And so then they were doing the Lord's Prayer and Jen joined in. And
okay, here's the thing. Because I've mentioned it a couple of times. I mentioned in our watch along, if you want to watch along with us, patreon.com/soimwatching this show. It's at the $3 tier. You can have all of our full unedited watch alongs.
You can just watch my soul break.
It's hilarious. So funny. So I mentioned in that it's like a lot of stuff evens out in season 2.
Yeah.
And like Grams is always devout, but it's never so much like shoving it down Jen's throat.
Mm-hmm. Like putting the Bible in Jen's desk.
Exactly. So it's mostly like that in season 1. And this is sort of like the first moment when they come to some sort of peace by the end of the episode, where Jen comes downstairs after the whole day and she's like, that was really something today. And like, just because we don't say like how we feel about each other doesn't mean we don't, love each other, essentially. And Grams is like, can you honestly say you still don't believe in God? And she's like, I really don't, but I'm coming around a little on man. I kind of dig that. And Grams has kind of a smile on her face. It's sweet. That is sort of where we land with the two of them going forward. Jen never gets into God and Grams never becomes an atheist.
Oh, good.
But they do kind of like,
middle ground.
It's fine. And they accept each other's beliefs, which is nice. I don't think I said, but Joey does come around and she comes inside and she helps Bessie through the end of the labor.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bodhi does miss the whole thing, but then they do like meet up at the end and the baby is Alexander, although I don't think they say it in the episode, but his name is Alexander. And I think that's mostly it. The Learys are at couples counseling, which is why they're not in the house when this is all happening.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that wicker furniture is ruined.
And if they'll keep it.
Ew. Wow. Gross. Yeah, I think that's mostly it. This one's not a very packed episode. It's like really just the two main things.
Mm-hmm.
The Pacey and Tamara breakup and the baby.
That's mine.
And they're with the camera. So it's the perfect time to go.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're gonna go watch episode 7 and we will be back. Bye.